Hey everyone, Scott Hansen here from NFL Red Zone, and you're watching the Super Fantasy Bros podcast. 1 hour of commercial-free podcasting starts now. Enjoy the show.
Take it away, Sean Gill.
All right, welcome back to the Super Fantasy Bros podcast, and welcome into our 2024 preseason awards show. With this episode now here, that means we are close to football season. We have 14 days left until football is back. Just 2 weeks. It's flown here this season, and we're ready to lock in our predictions for the upcoming season. If you're looking for our ranks, they are live on Instagram, some of them. I still need to get them up on the website, so they should be live probably in the next day or two. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you're following us on all social medias. But all of our episodes are live for quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, so you can go watch those after this one. But today, we will be handing out our predictions for fantasy awards for this upcoming NFL season, including the best at every position, MVP, most improved player, etc. And as always, disclaimer for this, we're not trying to pick the most obvious answers here, such as McCaffrey for best running back. Otherwise, we'd all have the same picks. So we're trying to get a little bit outside the box, do a little bit bolder for these awards. So don't judge us too hard on some of these. But as always, a ton of awards to get to. So let's get right into it, starting with the best at every position. Best defense and special teams. Most exciting award. D-God, start us off. What do we got?
I have the Falcons defense as the best defense in the league. It may be hard to believe. I'm pretty sure they were like 20-something last year. They were not very good, but they added Justin Simmons and Matthew Judon, which is huge. And they have the easiest schedule by far. They have the Saints twice, the Bucks twice, the Panthers twice, the Steelers, the Seahawks in Atlanta, not in Seattle, the Broncos, the Chargers, the Vikings, the Raiders, the Giants, the Commanders. They have like 3 tough games. I'm pretty sure they played the Eagles, they play the Cowboys, and one other pretty good team. But besides that, they have such an easy schedule.
Yeah, that's elite.
Lucky.
Definitely one to keep an eye on. Q, who do you have for best defense?
I also have the Atlanta Falcons. You guys basically summed up the additions that they have made between Justin Simmons and, of course, Matt Judon are massive. And then their offense is a lot better, too, so I don't think they'll be on the field as much. So they did have a couple 10-plus. They had a good amount, like 4 or 5 10-plus point games last year. So, and their offense was shit. Everything was shit. So I can see them finishing as a top 12 defense. I wish they had Cordell Patterson than that special teams, but
yeah,
they'll be solid. I think they're on Fantasy Pros. They're ranked 26th right now. I don't know how updated that is. I don't know if they included like the additions they made, but they're sleeping otherwise.
So sleep.
Yeah, that is low. That is pretty low. All right, Matt. Best defense. Who we got?
Best defense. I'm gonna go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I feel like this defense is pretty good every year. Tomlin makes point of that. But even last year when the offense wasn't doing so hot, the defense just seems to keep them in every single game that they're in. It's never like the Steelers are getting blown out. I mean, they have the best defensive player in TJ Watt, Patrick Queen they just got, and they have a few other pieces I really like. They have the rookie Peyton Wilson, who's been getting a lot of hype. So, I don't know. I just feel like the Steelers are the most safe defense basically year in, year out.
Yep, and they always end up above 500, so
Yep.
They will always figure it out.
Schultz is very upset that we did not shout him out for subscribing, so good looking, Dewey.
We were
Sorry,
just
Schultz.
trying to get through this
Thanks,
little
sir.
segment.
Appreciate the sub. My best defense is the Bengals defense, similar to Matt in terms of the same division, but they have the easiest schedule of the AFC North. So obviously it's tough a little bit playing in that division, but the quarterbacks that the Bengals are playing this season include Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson twice, Russell Wilson, Gardner Minshew, Will Levis, and Bo Nix. And that's like 11 games this season that you pretty much have a very solid chance of them getting a pick or some sort of turnover or getting to the quarterback. So I'm just going to stick with that strategy. I usually look for a team that plays a lot of like young or like inexperienced or just bad quarterbacks in general. You will need a contingency plan week 2 for this defense. They do play in Kansas City. Those games are usually tight, so you could get away with it, but not something I would love to do. Other than that, though, this is a very favorable defense that is also a little bit slept on. I think they could work their way up towards finishing to the top with a few big weeks.
It's just those division games with a team like that that scare you.
Yeah, I mean, anybody could go off any day, but I like the schedule. I like, and their division's quarterbacks aren't as scary aside from Lamar, so
Excuse me,
He's-
Deshaun Watson,
I'm not scared at all.
Russell
Not in the
Wilson.
slightest.
Very a
not
little
scared.
bit.
I mentioned both of them for a reason. All right, let's move on to best kicker. Do you got to start us off? Don't think there's too much that goes into this one.
No, not at all. I'm running it back with last year. Brandon Aubrey, I think he's going to finish number 1 again. They were the highest scoring offense last year. Plays majority of his games in the dome. I mean, this just is what it is. Kickers are elite though. Don't sleep on kickers. A good kicker can win you a season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can usually find one on waivers too, though. So don't reach either,
Unless you want to.
unless you want
Kicker,
to. What you want to do?
15th, 16th round.
Go ahead, Matt. Who is your best kicker this season?
Just going based off a team that scores a lot of points. I'm going Jason Saunders, however you want to pronounce it. This is a
Saunders.
team that just dropped 70 points last year. So, I mean, obviously they're capable of putting up big numbers. And their offense just has that talent that's always going to seem to get them in the red zone. So, even if they're not scoring touchdowns, which as a kicker, you hope they don't. So, you get the extra points for the field goals. But there's going to be endless opportunities for Sanders.
Yeah, like that pick as well. Q, best kicker. Who we got?
Best kicker, I'm going with Matt Skay. Last year,
Ooh,
Okay, really?
it's 2024.
so it's okay. It's okay, Matt. You can be
All
Gay.
right. You
can be
just
Gay.
changed it.
Matt Gay.
You were loving on the Falcons.
I know that's why I switched. But last year he finished kicker 8. Anthony Richardson, who knows how good he'll be. The offense is all right, but I wish I knew off the top how many long kicks he had, but me and Matt had him in a league last year where he was
Yeah, he was so good we started him on his bye week.
he was hitting a lot of 50 pieces, but yeah, Matt Gay. He's on an offense that were like they're not guaranteed touchdowns, so he's gonna come in.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to take Kaimi Fairbairn. Just taking a shot here. He was pretty solid last year when he was healthy. He did miss a decent chunk of the season, but he had a lot of big games last season with CJ Stroud's rookie season. So revamped offense, should be scoring a ton, and I'm sure when they get stopped in the red zone for whatever reason, Fairbairn's going to rack up some points. So give me Fairbairn as my take for best kicker.
Yummy.
All right, let's move on to some actual awards. Just kidding, those ones count too.
Respectful.
But the more fun ones, starting with best tight end. We'll switch it up, Matt. Let's start this one. Who do you got?
All right. I'm going second year Bull, Dalton Kincaid. Obviously, the Bills just got rid of Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, so that vacates 200 some targets. And who better to throw to than Dalton Kincaid? He still finished in the top 12 tight ends last year, playing about like half the snaps, and he was kind of in that mix with what's his face, Dawson Knox. So I mean, I feel like they're just gonna let him loose this year. Obviously, they need like a number 1 target on that team. I think he could be that, although I do like a couple other pieces there, but I feel like he's just going to be the safest in that Bills offense, pass catcher wise.
Yeah, love me some Kincaid this year as well.
Yes.
T-Guts, who do you got? Someone we both love.
I have Evan Ingram. How can you not love Evan Ingram? He's so slept
That's
on.
Matt.
Boo.
What do you
Because
mean?
I had
Just
him
hate here.
before, and he's just
All right,
Was he
that's
on the
fair.
Giants?
That's fair.
When he's on the Giants, he was booty butt butt after besides his
Giants.
rookie
And
year.
then I had him on the fucking Jags too, and he wasn't all that great.
Well,
Stop. He was
you
tight
gave
end
up
5
too
and tight end
soon.
2.
Because last year he finished as a tight end too, and he's coming back on the same team with the same quarterback with more targets to be dispersed. Because Calvin Ridley had 136 last year. They all got to go somewhere, and they're not all going to Gabe Davis.
Mm-mm. They might never go to.
At least if they're smart, they won't.
I hope they don't.
Not many will go there, I would think. Q, who do we got? Been
I
talking about this one
foreshadowed
for a while.
Yeah. I wish I remembered what episode it was from, but David
I
and
think it was
Joku.
like, dude, I can't even remember. It was so
It
wild. It
wasn't
was
an
so long ago.
episode related to tight ends. It wasn't related. I don't even know what it was, but David and Joku finishing as a tight end one, so I'm giving him this award. From week 6 on last year, he only had 2 games below 10 points, and obviously majority of them were with Joe Flacco. But of course, most he started off very slow. Jesus Christ! But yeah, he finished off extremely hot, and the offense is the same as last year, basically, besides the quarterback. So, Njoku's he's been on the up and up the last couple of seasons. So this is the year he finishes tight end one and earns the award.
I
All
thought
right.
about Njoku, but I didn't want to steal him from you. I knew that's where you were going.
Yeah, I like Njoku as well this year. Should be solid. I'll wrap it up with tight ends. I'm taking Trey McBride. There's quite a few tight ends I like. I kind of like all the ones you guys already took. But I keep drifting back to McBride from week 8 on last season. He was tight end 3 behind Ingram and Njoku, who you guys already talked about. By only 8 points, he was ahead of Laporta and Kelsey throughout that time as well. Kyler came back week 10 and was playing off like a major injury. Now they're both fully healthy. I'm excited for the potential here to be the clear number 2 behind MHJ, who will take up most of the defensive attention, leaving McBride open on third down and as Kyler's safety blanket. So, love me some McBride.
All right. I wish I could get on that Cardinals train. It's
He's gonna
Trying to
be.
It's
feel
hard
it, but
for
I don't
me.
know.
I
don't
like the
know.
Cardinals train. I like it.
Might derail.
Let's see. Let's move on to best wide receiver. T-Gods, who do we got here?
I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Last year he finished as wide receiver 3 with 119 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 10 touchdowns. And I don't see that slowing down for any reason. The only real competition for targets is Sam Laporta and Jameson Williams if he plays, but whoever really knows if he's playing or not. The Lions were the 3rd highest scoring offense last year, and they could finish as the top scoring offense. And domes again. I love domes. I love me a dome player. And
Yeah, I love him.
okay, all right, you know what?
No, I agree. Amon-Ra obviously going to be a beast. Easy take there for best wide receiver. Matt, who we got?
I'm gonna go hometown hero AJ Brown.
Yes, sir.
Not really much to get into, but finished wide receiver 5 last year at almost 1,500 yards. I think that might come down a little bit, but he only had 7 touchdowns last year. I could see him being much more close to like a 10, 12 touchdown guy. And yeah, I mean, obviously this offense is built to sustain 2 top 20 wide receivers in fantasy. We saw that the past couple of years with him and Devontae Smith, so not really too worried about that there. And I think he's just obviously going to be Hurts' number 1 target throughout the season. As much as I love Smitty, Smitty could be a number 1 on almost any other team. But yeah, AJ Brown, not much else to say. He's a dog.
He's a dog.
Oh,
He is a dog. Q, who do you got?
my wide receiver is going to be Devontae Adams. With a shitty ass quarterback last year, he still finished wide receiver 10. Now he gets the best quarterback he's had since Aaron Rodgers. And as long as Jacoby Myers isn't as much of a vulture as he was last season, Addy should and no Josh Jacobs either. There's Samir White's the running back, so like there's not much of a run game there. So it's gonna be all Addy all the time. Am I wrong? Well, I mean he's good, but he's not Josh Jacobs. So Minshew will have him back in the top 5 for sure.
Love me some Adams as well.
Yep.
I'll take Garrett Wilson for my best wide receiver take here. I did steal this one from T-God. Sorry,
Yes,
buddy.
you did. I love him.
But he was my pick last year, so I'm running it back for the same reason. Aaron Rodgers is here now. And it's not as scary this year because they do have Tyrod Taylor as the backup, who's actually a competent quarterback, unlike Zach Wilson. So I think Garrett Wilson just has the potential to be that breakout wide receiver this season. This offense is ready. His only competition for targets is pretty much Breece Hall out of the backfield and Mike Williams if he's able to stay on the field this season. He's coming off a major injury. He's pushing 30, so I hope he's able to play through the whole season and be good. But Garrett Wilson, I think, is just going to eat up targets. He had like 168 last year with only 95 catches. I think he maybe pushes for more targets there. I think he's going to go well over 100 catches. So give me Garrett Wilson best wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, best running back. Let's stick with the Jets. Q, best running back. Who we got?
Best running back, I believe he finished RB2 last year. This year it'll be RB1, Brees Hall. He did that with Zach Wilson and who else did they have a quarterback? Who cares? Yeah. I'm losing my train of thought right now. I'm thinking about a million things. I just remember because I had Brees Hall and he would get vultured by not Dalvin Cook, but there'd be who's the third running back that they have? The receiving back.
Was it Ty Johnson still last year? Who was
Maybe.
it?
I needed
Might
some
have
points
been.
for him to beat Matt last year, and
Izzy.
they were passing it to Ty Johnson that game. But
You just can't beat me.
Brees Hall, Aaron Rodgers should be a lot. I mean, can't get much better than last year outside of one more ranking. So, as long as he's healthy, he will still be a stud and the stud.
Yes.
Yeah, Brees is a beast. I agree.
Like,
T-Gods, who do we got? Best running back.
Best running back. Been talking about him all year. I will continue to talk about him. Kyron Williams. In 12 games, he had more points than Derrick Henry, Bijan Robinson, and James Cook, who all played every single game. On a points per game basis, Kyron was 8th in the league with 21.3 points. That's more than Lamar Jackson, Amon-Ra, J. Jeff. Kyron was on pace for 362 fantasy points. That would have been 6th overall of all players in the league.
Sheesh.
Kyron is a menace.
He is a menace. Love me some Kyron this season. Matt, going back to the well.
yeah, dog. I'm going Jonathan Taylor. Last year was kind of up and down for him. He was suspended the first 4 games, and then in that time, Zach Moss was kind of popping off. So when they brought him back, he was kind of on like a pitch count, which I don't get. But he's got full workload this year. Only threat behind him is Trey Sermon. I think the Colts are gonna not want Anthony Richardson to run as much. So I think the goal line opportunities are going to be there for JT. I think the offense is still kind of going to flow through him. So I just think JT is bound for a big bounce back year this year. In the games that he did play, he still averaged about like 15, 16 fantasy points. So right around that RB1 territory. So with the full workload, he should just go back to his dominant self.
And if he wears that Guardian cap, he's never going down.
Never.
Big
Nope.
bubble around his head.
Yeah, JT's definitely going to be good again this season. My take for best running back, a little bit bolder, I guess you could say, Devon A-Chan, whatever you want to say. Made this case already in our running back episode, so I don't want to go too much on this, but Mostert, 90 years old, coming off his first back-to-back healthy seasons in his career. Dolphins offense is elite. All the attention goes to Waddle and Tyreek, as we know. So A-Chain will have plenty of room to run and catch passes out of the backfield. He was the most explosive player in the league last year, so I think he can take that major step in year 2.
Yep.
Give me all the shares. Moving on to best QB before we get into some of the more interesting awards, I guess you could say. So, T-God, start us off again. Who do we got?
No crazy stats or anything for this one. Best quarterback, CJ Stroud. I mean, he might have the best offense in the league. Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, who's a pretty good pass catcher. I mean, bro, like I don't like the Texans might score 35 plus a game, every single game. I'm taking all
They're
the
gonna be
overs in the
gross.
Texans games.
They're going to be gross.
They're gonna be gross.
I love it. Matt, who we got?
I'm going to go Joe Shiesty, even with the blonde hair.
Hell yeah.
Joe Burrow is notorious for a very roller coaster start to the season, but hopefully he fixes
He got
that. That's
those.
really his only flaw. And I mean, he still got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, one of the best wide receiver groups in the league. They lost Joe Mixon, and in his place they have Zach Moss and Chase Brown, which I don't know how
Both
much I
better than Joe
trust.
Mixon.
I don't know how much I trust either of them. So I think the Bengals, if they already didn't throw a ton, they might just throw even more this year. And I think Joe's got something to prove. I feel like the past few years he hasn't really been what he can be. So I think that Joe Burrow and the pass catchers are in for a big year this year.
Yeah. Love the Bengals.
I hope so.
I
Hope so too.
Oh, jinx.
Q, who we got?
So I might be a little starstruck by the preseason game, but I'm gonna go with Caleb Williams as the best quarterback.
Oh,
Did you guys see the play of him with that touchdown? He's like scrambled around and ran into the end zone.
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
nuts.
But outside of that, I wanted to be a
Play.
hater, but he's good. And he has all these insane weapons. DJ Moore. I'm not gonna really say Roma Dunze yet, but
Chill, he's nice.
Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet.
They had that nice play together too.
They
The
did.
preseason with Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think he will finish as a top 10 quarterback. I don't know what it is, but I
Ryan's
wasn't
hype, baby.
I was bought in. No, now I bought in. So Caleb Williams, rookie earning the award. Rookie
You better get a
quarterback.
refund, brother.
You're
Welcome.
so sleep.
I'll keep my receipt.
We'll
Welcome
see.
to the Bears fandom.
No.
As a member who's been there for a while for no reason, so
Yeah, you're in Pittsburgh now.
I'm kind of all over the place. I got Jordan Love as best quarterback for this season. I think his season last year was a little bit underappreciated, throwing 32 touchdowns with an unknown, banged up wide receiver core throughout the season. All of them currently healthy, now with some playoff experience under their belts. I think he takes another step towards being a top quarterback in the NFL, and I think he could definitely push up to that number 1 spot after already being top 6, I think, last year, if not top 5. Love me some Jordan Love.
Mhm.
Best value pick, player that's kind of being drafted a little bit later that can finish inside that top 12, top 10 at their position. T-God, start us off. Who we got?
I have Aaron Rodgers, who's being like greatly disrespected right now. He's going as the quarterback 20. When he's in a season where he's
Sheesh.
played 15 games at least, he finished as the top 13 quarterbacks or better. So I mean, as long as he's healthy, he's finishing inside the top 13. I mean, this year his weapons aren't the greatest, I will say, but I think they're good enough for him to finish inside the top 13. Like, quarterback 20, bro, like that's like last round like numbers right there. Like that, I don't. They're just disrespecting him big time. I don't understand why. Aaron Rodgers, he's literally one of like the best of all time. He is old. He is coming off an injury. I get it, but he's still Aaron Rodgers. Like, come on, and he's got something to prove.
Yeah.
He's coming back with a little chip on his shoulder.
He's got a lot to prove. Maybe not too much.
A little bit.
But,
He's got a little bit of
yeah.
something to prove.
I would agree. Matt, who we got?
I'm going to stick with the Aaron trend, and I'm going to go Aaron Jones. Obviously, last year wasn't his best. He was kind of plagued with injuries, but he's in a new place now on the Vikings, and we also saw J.J. McCarthy go down for the season. So behind him is good old Sam Darnold and Nick Mullins. So I think regardless of who's under center, they're kind of gonna lean on the run game a lot more. I mean, before last season, Aaron Jones finished top 10 the previous 4 before that. So, I mean, I think he's still got something left in the tank. He's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. So, either one of those quarterbacks could just dump it off to him all game long. Obviously, Justin Jefferson's going to get his, Addison and Hawk when he comes back. But I really like this spot for Aaron Jones, and he's currently going RB19, which is kind of fair right now, but he definitely has that RB1 potential.
Yeah.
I like that too. Q, what do we got?
I have a wide receiver, not an Aaron. I'm going Tank Dell, unless his real name is Aaron. I know his real name is Tank, but being drafted as wide receiver 29 right now, I want a piece of this offense, and I believe he's definitely better than Nico Collins. Not quite there with Stephon Diggs, but the last 4 games that he played in before the season ended for him, he had at least 17 points. So extremely explosive and big threat guy. And to get him that late, I don't have off the top who's going ahead of him, but definitely a nice steal for offense that's easily going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, he's going wide receiver 29, so.
Yeah, like George Pickens
right.
is going before him. Maybe because I hate him, but that's insane.
Not insane to me. I love me some Pickens.
I love
Yeah,
me
I
some
know.
Pickens too. But I like Tank Dell more, I will say.
Yeah, I gotta like Tank Dell. I like that one too. Definitely think you could find some value there. My best value pick is Christian Kirk. He's currently going wide receiver 31. He's going. He was my pick actually 2 years ago when he was first added to the Jags. He was being drafted after wide receiver 40 or something like that and finished wide receiver 11. I think he's in a similar situation this year. Ridley and Zay Jones are now gone, being replaced by Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas. So I still think there's going to be more targets available for Kirk, who was still quietly a top 20 wide receiver last year when he played from weeks 2 through 12. He was averaging 14.5 points per game. I think he can take that up a little bit with a little bit more target share here. So give me all the shares of Christian Kirk at 31. I think he can push back towards that top 12 status again. And then we got fantasy performance of the year. So for this one, pretty much just coming up with a bold take for the biggest game of the season. There's always some crazy games. We're trying to predict it. I don't know if we've ever hit on this one. Maybe a little bit close, but still fun to give it a shot. T-Gods, what do we got?
I have Tyreek Hill going for 300 plus receiving yards in a game, which he hasn't done before. I thought that he would have done it. There's no way that Tyreek Hill retires without doing that. There's just no way. 6 players have done it. It is a lot, but it's been done. And if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Tyreek Hill. Come on, he should do it at least one time.
Yeah, I do like that. I wonder what his career high is.
I think it's 274 or something like that.
He was close.
He was close.
269.
269.
Jesus. Was
Still
it with
nuts.
Miami?
No, I think it was with it was when he was it was against the Bucks when he had that crazy touchdown after touchdown.
Oh, right.
With the Chiefs. Yeah, like that one, T-Gods. Matt, what do we got?
I'm going to go with somebody that Q touched on earlier. No Diddy. Brees Hall will have a 200-plus scrimmage yard, 4-touchdown game this year.
Goodness.
Brees Hall right now is one of the best dual threats out of the backfield in the league. Probably the best behind Christian McCaffrey. And this offense, as long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, is only going to be better than it was the previous 2 seasons that Brees played. He's just a big play waiting to happen. He's got a knack for finding the end zone no matter where he gets the ball in the field. So I think it is more than possible that he gets, say, 2 on the ground, 2 in the air, and a whole lot of yards in between them.
Yeah, definitely think that's possible. Love me some Brees this year. Q, what do we got?
So I'm going to go with the commander/football team killer, Devontae Smith, 200-yard receiving game and 2 touchdowns. His high against them is 169, so why not get to 2? Obviously, you can get to 200. They've added Handon, so less focus on him. But obviously, there'll be plenty, but I think for some reason he just goes dummy against the Washington team, so I think he will have a 200-yard game this season.
I like it.
Hell yeah.
I'm with that all day. My take here is Justin Jefferson puts the Vikings on his back week 1, breaking the NFL record for receptions in a game, catching 22 passes.
Oh,
Goodness me.
He'll be force-fed by Sam Darnold with Jordan Addison most likely on the shelf for week 1 with that ankle issue. And TJ Hawkinson out as well. So it's pretty much just going to be Jay Jeff and Sam Darnold saying, fuck it, he's down down there somewhere. So 22 catches, book it.
Do you know who they play week 1?
The Giants.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like Sean's bold take every year is someone to break that receiving or receptions record.
No, I think last year was maybe Deontay to get 15 or something in a game, and it didn't happen. Bad. All right, let's move on to most improved player. It's pretty self-explanatory. So, T-Gods, what do we got here?
My most improved player, I think, is going to be Drake London. For the past 2 years, he was supposed to be pretty good. I don't think he ever finished inside the top 27. But I don't blame him. I blame Arthur Smith. That dude's a moron. He has no idea how to use anyone on his team. I don't know how he's now the offensive coordinator for the Steelers. They're so dumb for that, but that's
scary.
That's topic for another day. But now their new offensive coordinator, Zach Robinson, who spent the last 5 years working with Sean McVay, and in those 5 years, he was a quarterbacks coach, a wide receiver coach, and a pass game coordinator. That sounds like someone that knows how to use their receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And he got an upgrade from Desmond Ridder to Kirk Cousins. Come on.
Kirk the GOAT.
Come on. Drake London's
Yeah,
locked in top 10 trust.
Ooh, I like it. Spicy.
That is
Not that spicy, but spicy.
It is spicy. Bro, he's going to like 11 or something. He's like,
Yeah,
I
his
don't know.
ADP is soaring high.
It is. It's crazy.
Matt, who do we got here? Most improved.
Most improved. He already had a good season last season, but I'm gonna go Jaden Reed. Finished wide receiver 25 last year. And I mean, if Jordan Love is as good as everybody says he is, I think he should only get better. He didn't break 1,000 yards last year, but I could see him doing that this year. I know they have Christian Watson and a few other guys like Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks. But I think he's just going to be the clear number one on this team and Jordan Love's go-to. So I see him exceeding his receptions total, yardage total, and probably finish right around the same 8 touchdown mark that he did last year. But I just see if this, it all depends on Jordan Love. I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, banking on Jordan Love to actually be this good. So if he is, I think Jaden Reed is in store for a big year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, love me some Jaden Reed this year. I'm in on that take for sure. Q, who do we got for most improved player?
I might be trying to hand the sword to him, but I'm going to say Tony Pollard. It's kind of hard to come back from what he did last year, but maybe in a role where he's not the number one, hopefully not the number one. Yeah, just where he's splitting the backfield in a backfield where that's kind of up for grabs between him and Tajee Spears. I think the offense is going to try and find themselves. And Tony Pollard, we saw him be good, so it's possible, it's out there. Just can you do it?
I
And he's not
like
gonna
it.
yeah, so
I like
it's
that pick.
a long shot, but
Yeah, I like it. I think he could definitely improve after last season where he struggled a bunch. My most improved player is Josh Palmer. He's now entering year 4, but obviously he's been buried on the Chargers depth chart for the past few seasons behind Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Now with those guys gone, the only competition for targets is rookie Lad McConkey, DJ Chark, and Quentin Johnston. I think he shows that he can be a very good receiver. We saw flashes in 2022 where he caught 72 passes and was able to get in and out of work when there were some injuries. But overall, I think he pushes 100 catches, pushes 1,000 yards, the top pass catcher in the Chargers offense.
hope so.
Okay.
I'm with it.
I don't hate it.
Second year breakout. Another self-explanatory one here. T-Gods, what do we got?
Feel free to pitch in on this one if you want to. I know you like him. Chase Brown.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right now he's getting the majority of the snaps with the ones. Last year, Joe Mixon had 309 touches. So even if Zach Moss plays a little role here, that's still plenty of work for Chase Brown to finish at least as a low end RB2. I think he'll be usable this year. Usable.
Yeah. Do like Chase Brown a lot. Matt, who we got?
I'm going to go Tank Dell. Showed
Nathaniel.
a bunch of flashes last year. Fortunately, dealt with injuries, but I mean, the Texans' offense is outrageous, and CJ Stroud loves throwing that ball. And who better to throw a deep ball to than Tank Dell? We kind of saw flashes of it in the preseason, and I know Diggs is there, but Diggs fell off the second half of last season. Probably lost a step. He's getting older, and Nico's there, but I still stand on Tank Dell being the receiver to own on that Texans team.
Crazy. Love it, though. Love me some Tank.
I love it
I
as
think
well.
I could name a couple more people that are better to throw a deep ball to, but I'll let you have that one.
Will Fuller.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, a million years ago.
Q, who we got for second year breakout?
So I'm going to stick with the Tennessee side with my last guy. I'm going to go with Will Levis. We saw
Ooh.
quick glimpse of it last year with this 4 touchdown game to D-Hop. They added Calvin Ridley, which may not seem like a lot, but it's obviously something. I think the offense will be a lot better this year. I don't know. Actually, I don't know because they don't have Mike Vrabel anymore. But Will Levis could definitely, I think, he'll be a good bye-week fill-in and definitely more serviceable than he was last year. He definitely had everyone caught when he had that 36-point game and then kind of stunk it up the next week. But
Yeah.
I thought you were going to
He'll be
say
good.
when he got leaked on Twitter. That's just...
That should have stayed up. Then he would have been good.
They also, they added a ton to that offense. Ridley, Hopkins, Boyd, Pollard. Like, he's got all of the weapons. Might maybe getting a little bit older, but he should have a good offense there. My second year breakout is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Sorry, T-Gods. But we did see Lockett slow down a bit last year, and while I think Lockett will still be involved and probably get his touchdown total up, I think JSN becomes a more integral part of the offense this season. I think he has top 25 potential with this offense, and obviously he's super talented. They drafted him as that first wide receiver off the board just last year, so definitely primed for a huge second-year leap.
Yeah.
Yes, he
Whatever.
is. Overhyped player, pretty much just someone we think is either getting too much hype out there or just like being drafted much higher than we think they should be. You got to start us off.
Anthony Richardson. He's going as the QB5 right now, and we saw him play 3 full games last year. In 2 of those games, he had 6 completions and 11 completions. That, like, yes, he can run, but can he run 10 times every single game and score at least 1 touchdown? Probably not.
Without getting hurt.
Yeah, without getting hurt. So, like, I don't think they're going to want him to rush that much because he ran reckless last year. Right? Like, he was, like, doing flips in the end zone, all this stuff. He's a crazy man. So I don't know if they're going to want him to do that again. I don't, like, QB5 going over, like, CJ Stroud, Joe Burrow. I think that's a little ridiculous. He can finish QB5, like, if he stays healthy and keeps, like, going dummy with the rushes and all, but I don't know how long his play style is sustainable for.
Yeah, got to be prime Cam Newton to finish where he's being drafted. So
yeah,
we'll see if he can get there. He's got the potential, but
he was on Pat McAfee, and he said he didn't change his diet or anything. So he's just kind of come in as the same guy.
Okay,
which is very good.
Yeah, good idea.
Matt, this one might ruffle some feathers.
Yeah, I'm here to ruffle feathers, baby.
You don't even believe what you're saying.
Yeah, I do, because I believe in Cooper Kupp. Most overhyped player, Puka Nacua. No way he finishes top 10 again. Finished number 4 last year at almost 1,500 yards, over 100 catches. Yeah, I see that coming down. Cooper Kupp was dealing with injuries last year. Finally got his groove towards the end of the season. Right now, they have Puka Nacua listed as their wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. Big mistake, because Cooper Kupp is on a revenge tour this year. Puka Nacua going wide receiver 8 is absurd to me. I mean, he did play a full season. We got about everything we could from him, but I just don't see any progression in that stat line from last year. All I really see is regression, so I just don't see him sustaining that type of production again this year.
When's the last time Cooper Kupp played a full season?
Suck my.
Puka played one last year.
What did Puka finish last year?
Wide receiver 4.
Gross. So good.
That's gonna be tough to beat, though.
Yeah. Definitely gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah, but he's being drafted wide receiver 8, 9. I think that's fair.
I think it's fair. I think it's fair, but I do think
I understand the overhype angle though.
Yeah.
All right, Q. What do we got? Overhyped player.
This one actually hurts, but I'm actually it's the truth. Overhyped player Chris Olave being drafted as wide receiver 11 this year. Basically, it's all because of Derek Carr. He's had too many games last year where it was single digits or less than 15 points when he was being drafted as like a top 10 guy or was expected to be a top 10 guy. It was Rashid Shaheed, who was basically the better receiver. As long as Derek Carr is there, he's going to stink or just not live up to his full potential. But let me see real quick. The guys being drafted after him, just the first 2, Drake London and I'm not going to say Debo because I wouldn't draft him there, but Mike Evans is being drafted. I think I draft Mike Evans over Chris Olave. So I think he's a little overhyped. Not his fault, though. They blame his quarterback.
All right.
Still love me some Olave.
I love Olave. I do love Olave.
Give me all the shares wherever he's at. I'm taking him.
Never above like wide receiver 20.
What?
What do you never finish above wide receiver 20 or something like that?
He was wide receiver 16 last year.
Sorry.
Pretty
Never
good.
Finished top 15.
Pretty good. Question in the chat: start Jacoby Myers or Josh Palmer? Start sit questions 2 weeks out.
What the fuck?
I haven't
Wait-
looked at a
Wait
thing
and see.
for week 1. I would definitely
I'm starting
concede to a
Kobe.
good-
No, if I gotta go one, I'm going Palmy.
I'm
Palmy's
going
got
Kobe.
a better.
They're
I
head to
don't
head
know.
too.
Palmy could be the number 1 though.
Palmer
Could
could be.
be.
Gonna have to deal with Addy. of
I'd rather
all
wait and
people.
see on Palmy. I mean, Myers dealt with Addy last year, still finished wide receiver 24, so he might be the most underrated player in the league, to be honest, Jacoby Myers.
He's good.
Might be.
He's very good at football.
What about Matt Collins?
It's so weird.
All right, I'll wrap us up for overhyped player Stephon Diggs. He's going wide receiver 40th overall. From week 10 on last season, where do you think Stephon Diggs was among wide receivers? Top 20? Top 30?
Obviously,
Top 40? No,
Yikes.
he was 44th overall, 46th on a points
Are
per
you gonna defend that
basis.
man?
He was averaging
No.
less than 10 points per
he
game.
is a case.
I don't think he's reached that, I think he's past his peak, I guess you would say. And also Neek and Tank are also going to be trying to fight for their target share there. I do think Diggs is going to fit in well with this offense and he'll have some big games, but I don't foresee him being top 20 again this season. I think better off lower, like a low end wide receiver 2, maybe a high end flex. Feel much better about having him as my wide receiver 3 than my wide receiver 2.
What's more likely, him finishing top 20 or Puka finishing top 5 again?
Him finishing top 20.
Yeah. I'm not
Puka
asking
top 5.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. That
Fuck
big
this
ridiculous
train.
intro.
It could be Diggs, but
Yeah.
I just think he's overhyped. Overhyped. All right. Bold stat takes for season long. So we did do this one last year. Just pretty much just whatever random take, some guy you like. Let's just get into it. Self-explanatory to you guys. What do we got?
Last year, I think I had Joe Burrow throwing for 5,000 yards. That wasn't very good. This year, I'm going with D. Hen leading the league in rushing touchdowns. So last year, the Ravens were the most rush-heavy offense in the league with 541 attempts, and they had 156 rushing yards per game. They love to run the ball, and they finished with 26 total rushing touchdowns. Only 5 of them were Lamar. That's 21 touchdowns going to someone else. Zay Flowers had 1, I know that. So that's at least 20 touchdowns going to running backs. I think D-Hen will get the bulk of them because their backup is Justice Hill or Keaton Mitchell. I mean, come on, it's in the red zone. It's D-Hen all day long. He's going in for at least 15 this year.
Mm-hmm.
At least 15. Book it. I think his line's like 10.5. So
Oh my God,
go smack it.
He. When was the last time he even had less than 10 or 11?
I think he had 10 the season he got hurt after playing like 8 games.
Oh yeah, he had 10 in 2021, and besides that,
and he only played like 8 games.
yeah,
Which is gross.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I'm
Derrick
smacking
Henry,
that.
I like it. Like it a lot. Matt, what do we got?
I'm gonna go. CJ Stroud leads the league in passing yards this year. If I'm gonna show any grace to Stephon Diggs, it is to back this bold take up. I mean, he finished 600, I think, behind Tua, who was in first. He finished 8th in the entire league in his rookie year. The addition of Stephon Diggs and hopefully Tank Dell and Nico Collins stay healthy all year, and they have Joe Mixon who he could dump it off to. I think he has a great case for leading the league in passing yards this year. And like I said earlier, he loves to throw the ball. So,
Yeah.
endless options for him to throw to. I think this offense is going to be unreal.
Yep.
Big time potential. Q, what do we got for this one?
I think I've said this about every year since we've had this. Well, Justin Herbert didn't play till the beginning or the middle of his rookie year when we did the pod, but I'm gonna say Justin Herbert finishes with more passing yards. I have 2 because they're very empty because they have no stats behind.
I don't like this already.
Justin Herbert finishes with more passing yards, most passing yards in the AFC West.
So just more than Mahomes.
Yeah. And Chase Brown has a better season than Joe Mixon has ever had tenured as the.
You're
It's just hater. Just
ridiculous.
Dude, no way.
Both of those takes are dog water.
They weren't really thought out, but both of them are both very likely of happening.
No, they're
Like it
not.
like this.
Delusion at its finest.
Jay Herbert might have the least amount of passing yards.
If he
I
doesn't
will
get
go
caught.
next. Let's move on from that. Brees Hall becomes the 4th running back since 2010 to catch 100 passes in a season. Obviously, Garrett will be the focal point, prime receiver here. But Rodgers is definitely not afraid to dump it off. And now that he's older, going to be trying to avoid more pressure, just get the ball out quick. Brees will become his best friend. So definitely a chance he's going to go up from that 74 or 76 catches he had last year. So I think he can get to 100.
I like it.
lot.
All right, 3 awards left. Let's do Fantasy Rookie of the Year. You got to start us off.
Not going super bold here. Malik Neighbors. Early in the game, it's going to be all him. When they're losing by 20 points at the end of the game, it's still going to be him. He's going to endless workload. This dude's going to get, and their other receivers on the team are Wandale Robinson, Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah.
It's nobody. It's him and nobody else. This man's
Wandale.
just. What I said, Wandale. Who bro? Come on, come on.
Wandale. But I hear you. I definitely hear you.
Thanks.
Malik Neighbors. Matt,
Let a neighbor
Fantasy
know.
Rookie of the Year.
Going super bold on this one, but I feel it in my bones. I'm gonna go Bo Nix. Argue has looked better than Caleb Williams, the golden child, in the preseason. And if
Well,
he
he's only
can
played one
lead
game.
this, shut the fuck up. In that one game, he did more than Caleb ever could.
I
Whoa.
drafted him.
No, I'm just saying. Listen, we're getting bold. All right, I ain't scared to put my feet in the water a little bit, but I don't know. He's just looked good. I watched the game last week. Should have had like 2 passing touchdowns. One of them, he was a little bit over the line, so
Can't
didn't
give him.
count. Shut up. But yeah, Bo Nix. Now, Q, who's yours?
Of course, I mentioned him earlier. I'm gonna. What's his name again?
Oh,
Must not be that good.
Oh my god! Oh, Caleb. I'm thinking Chase. Chase for some reason. I'm thinking about Chase Brown still. Caleb Williams, easily Rookie of the Year. Easily gonna get this award over Bo Nix. Bo Nix won't even
Head
be
on.
relevant by week 6.
oh
Bo
man,
Nix finishes over
I'm not gonna
Caleb.
be following Bo
no
Nix.
way.
Thank you.
What?
You said $100. Bo
Yeah,
Nix
I heard what he said.
over.
I'm not betting on
You
Bo
would
Nix.
not do that. There's no way you would do that.
I'm
I
not.
stand on it.
No, he's telling you.
I'll
to bet
do that.
Williams.
I'll
Oh,
take
yeah,
Caleb for $100
Matt's taking Bo Nix.
Yeah. All right. Lock it in.
Bo's the truth.
Lock it in.
All right, keep going. That's it. Caleb Williams, Rookie of the
I
Year.
don't. I'm not gonna repeat it. I said it already. Unless Matt wants to hear it again. Bo Nix will
Yeah.
be licking Caleb Williams' ball sack. By the end of the season.
Sure, buddy.
They're not a pocket. All right, I'll wrap us up. Mine's a little bit bolder as well. I'm taking Brian Thomas Jr. Apparently, I am the biggest Jaguars fan out there. I like this offense a lot. As I mentioned before, Kirk will still be the wide receiver 1, and I still like Ingram. But there's plenty of room in this offense for targets. The Jaguars throw a ton with their mediocre defense. We saw Ridley go up and down to finish wide receiver 18, as well as Zay Jones caught 5+ passes in 5 of his 8 games last year when he was active. I think Gabe Davis is going to be hit or miss per usual. He'll have some big games, but he's going to disappear for half the season. So I'll take Brian Thomas to be a sneaky good piece of this offense. Could see him as a really good wide receiver 4, even pushing towards top 25, top 30 wide receivers if he's able to take out a decent chunk of this target share. So, like the talent, I'm a believer. Brian Thomas Jr.
Hell yeah,
Mhm.
I'm in.
All right, this feels like an attack on me for this next award.
Yeah.
right down the line.
Yeah, all 3 of your boys.
Fantasy least valuable player. I guess you got to start us off. Tell me why all of my players are going to suck ass.
I'll start us off. I think this fantasy least valuable player will be Kyler Murray. They have him as the quarterback 7 right now, and I think that's a little disrespectful to some other people that should be above him. Kyler hasn't finished inside the top 7 since 2020, and since then he finished as a quarterback 10, quarterback 19, and quarterback 27. Yes,
Injuries.
I know it's his injuries, but his weapons are Marvin Harrison and Trey McBride, and that's it. So if he's going to want to finish top 7, he's going to have to run, and if he's going to have to run, he's probably going to get hurt again. So you got to weigh that out. I don't see how it works out. I don't think top 7 is going to be, huh?
There's some risk. I agree.
And when does Black Ops 6 come out?
November probably.
Oh,
Usually
yeah,
November.
Done.
We shall see. I understand. Definitely understand. There's definitely a side of history.
He could
where
finish
Kyler
top
started.
7, but it's super risky. And
Yeah, if he was wrapped in bubble wrap.
I'll draft him at like quarterback like 12, 13.
Put that bubble helmet on Kyler. Let him cook.
Bubble suit.
He's gonna need a whole suit,
That's not
bro.
a problem.
Run around in casts.
All right,
They don't
Matt.
make
Who's
dark-
next on the Sean Slander train?
That would be Devin A-Chain.
Oh yeah.
Currently going RB10 right now. Only played
Too
like
low, to be
a
honest.
handful of games last year. And they also have somebody by the name of Raheem Mostert, who finished RB5 last year, was an absolute touchdown machine.
18.
Also drafted who was it?
Someone.
Jalen Wright. Yeah, something like that. Jalen Wright, and they still have Jeff Wilson. So, I mean, there's 4 usable running backs on this team. I don't think one is going to be the surefire starter week in, week out. Even if they do start, somebody might get the hot hand, and the other might kind of get left off the game plan. So, I think RB10 is pretty steep for a guy in what could be a running back by committee. And with the small sample size we got last year, I mean, sure, he looked great, but I just don't know if that's going to be sustainable for him throughout a whole season. Already dealing with injuries last year. Raheem Mostert had an injury history, but he's only missed 3 games the past 2 seasons. And they have a young rookie that I really like. So I just don't know if there's going to be that RB1 upside opportunity and volume for A-Chain.
There's a lot going on there.
Yeah,
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Hey.
All right, Q.
Next.
Who's next on the fantasy least valuable player? All of Sean's favorite players.
It's got to be Joe Mixon, who's currently being drafted as the RB15, in front of guys like Alvin Kamara and Kenneth Walker, who I think have much better seasons than him, as he's on a team that I wouldn't think is run first. Though Devin Singletary was good last year, Devin Singletary is better than Joe Mixon, so you can't really.
I think everyone's better than Mixon.
Basically,
And running back with a pulse is better than Mixon in Q's mind.
Yep. Mixon was saved by 2
Just
good
blind to the
games.
stats.
Mixon was saved by
Take away the games.
3 great performances last year, and then the year before, 1 5-touchdown game, or he would be outside of Sean's favorite player list. So be a little weary when you're drafting him. You're not going to get Joe Mixon from 2019 or 18, whenever he was drafted into the league.
Okay.
Saved
Chase
my
Brown.
ass last year. Never had
Chase
less than
Brown.
8.
Devin Singletary, Chase Brown again, and whoever else is on the Bengals. Chris Evans for all. He'll come out of retirement.
Samaje P. Ryan.
Oh my
Captain
God.
America's out for the season, I think.
You're
Actually,
lucky I didn't say anything about P. Ryan.
P. Ryan stinks.
That makes sense.
Old ass head.
All right. Enough of the hate. We're moving on. My fantasy least valuable player, Zach Moss, the Mixon replacement.
Yep.
I kind of didn't really hate anybody looking at my ranks, to be honest. But Zach Moss just feels like one that is being overdrafted for like what he actually is. He's now in his 5th season. Never been able to fully stay healthy, stay on the field. Mediocre pass catcher at best. Showed flashes early last season. But I think the Bengals are going to go with the more electric Chase Brown, as we've seen already in camp, getting a lot of run with the ones, as T-Gods had mentioned. And I think that's going to continue to go throughout the season. And I think he's obviously the better pass catcher here. So Zach Moss, maybe like 600 to 800 yards at best. A few touchdowns falling into the end zone, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near where he's being drafted RB32. I think he's going to finish outside the top 50 and ends up being a waste of a pick. So
Okay.
stay away from Zach Moss, fantasy least valuable player.
Okay.
All right, let's get positive. Let's stop hating. Fantasy MVP. Get as bold as you like, T-Gods. What do we got?
I guess this is a little bold. MVP T. Higgins.
Ooh,
He's currently being drafted as the wide receiver 27. And with a healthy Burrow and a healthy T, I think this could easily be one of the most slept on stacks in the league. Um, he's got a great quarterback, obviously, and he's a second option on a super pass heavy team. So, like, the only other options that they have are Jermaine Burton and Mike Gesicki. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Um, and with Mixon and Boyd gone, that opens up a lot of room. Yeah, like last year, Joe Mixon had over 300 touches. Tyler Boyd had 98 targets. So there's a lot of plays that opened up and a lot of room for T Higgins to shine.
yeah, I agree. T should be pretty solid this year. Cannot complain.
Yes, he just needs to stay healthy. He never does.
He will. He will.
Okay.
Matt, fantasy MVP. Who we got?
Get out. I'm going Zamir White, currently being drafted as the RB22. Only got a small sample size last year. Really, the last 4 games where he averaged right around like 15 fantasy points a game, which look like our low end RB1 numbers to me, mid to low end RB1 at least. And this year he should be coming in expecting a full workload. Alexander Madison, or the ghost of, is behind him, who doesn't really challenge him for any touches in my mind. So yeah, I think especially with Gardner Minshew under center, not the greatest, but definitely the Raiders' best option. He could dump it off to Zamir White. We saw him get involved in the pass game late last season, so I think there's a ton of opportunity for him on this offense that isn't really going to be great. So they're going to be looking for sparks anywhere they can, and I think he could definitely be that for them throughout this year.
Yeah, I like me some Zamir White too. Fantasy MVP, bold and spicy, just how I like it. Q, who do we got?
I'm actually going to throw a curveball here. My fantasy MVP is going to be Kyler Murray. I,
way!
Welcome to the club.
I told this to Matt about a month ago that I think he's going to be good. And I just have a feeling he has everything that you want in a quarterback, at least in fantasy. A guy that can run.
Thank you.
And now he has
And
a
stay
couple.
healthy.
He has an additional weapon if he can stay healthy.
Yeah.
I was just hating on him for the LVP, so I'm switching up like crazy. But I do think Kyler Murray has the potential to go back into his bag from 2021 when he was a top 10 quarterback, and then a top 5, and then 6 overall. So I can't believe I'm saying.
Boo.
Maybe that's the only guy.
Suck. You suck.
Great take. Q.
Also,
Traitor.
I already forget.
Welcome to the dark side.
Also,
Remember we used to do this show in a shirt and tie? What happened to us?
that was one episode.
I think it was the first year.
And then you didn't even do it because you fucking forgot your tie in the car or something.
I put a clip on tie.
Oh yeah.
On one of Scotty.
It was on a jersey.
The good old days. All right. Fantasy MVP. I'll wrap it up. Give me Rashee Rice. He may be a criminal, but the NFL doesn't mind criminals. So we're talking strictly fantasy here.
Unless they're gambling. No gambling.
Okay. Unless they're gambling. No gambling. As long as he doesn't open
gambling.
FanDuel. Rashee Rice, please stay far away from FanDuel and just focus on football.
And a vehicle. And please.
Yeah, a vehicle, please. Drive anywhere. Take Uber.
Imagine gambling in a speeding vehicle.
Get Andy to pick you up.
Banned.
Your current ADP is wide receiver 36 in the 7th round. In 2021, Amon St. Brown went on that Linsanity fantasy run to end the season, and everyone was scared if it was repeatable. He went in with a ADP of wide receiver 24 and then finished wide receiver 7 as one of the best receivers. In 2023, Rashee Rice, weeks 12 to 17, was wide receiver 4, only behind CD, Debo, and Amon-Ra over that span. Pretty much his own version of that Linsanity run. Hollywood's already shelved. Kelsey is in love with Taylor Swift, and we saw him start to slow down a little bit last year. So he should still be seeing double-digit targets when he's on the field. The suspension is looming, but the NFL hasn't said anything. Nothing's come up. He's practiced throughout all of camp. He's had no issues whatsoever, so he's on track to play week 1. Take the chance in the 5th or the 6th round a little bit earlier than that ADP and get potential top 5 wide receiver this year.
I like it. I was gonna take Rashi, but then I saw you had him, so I said frick.
Sorry. But that's it. That's all the awards we have for this episode. Q, do we have any trivia, or are we out of here?
Nope, we're out of here.
What the fuck?
This one usually runs long, so
See
that
what
makes
I'm
sense.
saying?
That is it then for the preseason award show. We will revisit this episode and all of these predictions at the end of the season when we do our end of season award show, just to look back at some of these great takes and bad takes, like all of the LVP takes. Those were pretty bad. We'll be looking at my team as the best team of all time.
Yeah, right.
But yes, we will be looking back at this episode and then hand out the official fantasy awards. If you're still here with us live on Twitch, throw us a follow and subscribe if you want to help support us. Subscribe on YouTube as well. All of these episodes go there. And Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, we are there as well. If you could like, rate, review 5 stars, that helps us grow a ton. And as always, follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. We will be posting the rest of our rankings over the next week, as well as some of these picks for these awards. So stay tuned for that there. Next week, we will be doing our NFL preview episode. So stay tuned for that too. And that's a wrap.
Nice.
Peace.